Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Add to Cart with Sunny Vadvani, where we sit down with founders, operators, and industry leaders to decode the strategies, numbers, and insights shaping Indian e-commerce and quick commerce. Today's guest has experienced commerce from multiple sides through his more than a decade experience, agency, marketplaces, performance marketing, and now business leadership as well. He currently leads quick commerce at HUL across Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart, and Big Basket. Before this, he led performance marketing across e-commerce and quick commerce at HUL, scaled the team from 5 to over 20, and managed more than $100 million in annual media investments. Today, we'll decode how marketing differs across Amazon and quick commerce, which metrics actually matter beyond ROAS, what large consumer brands do differently, and how AI is changing e-commerce marketing. Tejas, welcome to the show. Honor to have you here.
Happy to be here. I think we've been in touch and exchanging a lot of things. I think great to be here.
Thank you so much. Feel free to add a bit about you, about your journey. The audience would love to hear you. I think I would have missed a lot of things.
No, I think you covered it very well. And so I think I've always been passionate about digital marketing. And traditionally, you end up doing a lot of sales and marketing roles. Past 6 to 7 years, I've been there, ran my own campaigns, set up the first account of my client, and set up campaigns in my previous roles as well. I think that has been an exhilarating experience, and that gives me the grounding of and the grind in which all of us go through eventually. Yeah.
I'll start, but before starting, I just want to set a context for the audience watching this. We'll try to aim this as a not only performance, but as a
Yeah.
marketing masterclass for today's consumer brands or for the audience who's building brands in this modern day. Because year by year, with a lot more platforms coming, I think it has become more difficult with more and more channels and marketplaces also coming it out. So I think Tejas, with his more than a decade experience, will try to squeeze him as many insights that we could take, and so that the audience can get a lot of actionable insights right after the video, which they can apply.
Sure. Definitely.
Yeah. So my first question, and it's a very small question, I would say. We recently moved from, or you have changed the role from leading performance
Yes.
marketing to managing the larger quick commerce business at HUL. So, how has your view changed of business that now you're not looking at only media? It's a much larger scope, I would say.
I mean, yeah, the shift has been quite considerable. And for the past 6 months, I think I have reflected multiple times. And I think the biggest fundamental shift is that in my previous roles or performance marketing, I had more in control. The controllables were very high, but the impact on business was slightly lower in general, right? Because your
Right.
paid can drive up to a limit. Now I have less controllables because I have to interact with a lot of stakeholders, more stakeholder management. I have to convince a lot of people. But then I'm responsible for all part of business. So I think this shift has been quite important and critical. It's almost as if I'm building a new muscle in my body. A large part of my previous role was to do with data, analytics,
Right.
tech, and I could solve all problems to that. Right now, yes, it involves that, but still I have to talk to people, convince them, interact face to face. I think that has an overbearing on this job because after all, you can almost do few things with your rational mind, but you have to be rational in your asks. And that personal touch, the emotional touch angle also helps in unlocking a lot of initiatives, giving me that flex, giving me some lean in, even if we come from a big manufacturer, it is always about relationships.
Okay.
How am I adding value to the platform and vice versa? So that has become more important and has come to the center stage.
So I think it will be more about now you taking, if I take it from the other side, you're working as a founder of all these brands each and building their businesses on quick commerce. It's more of about you working as founders of each of the brands at HUL and building them on quick commerce.
Yes. I think, I mean, in HUL, like, we have our traditional models, but we also have to reinvent for this new age platforms. And we also have got a lot of new age brands in our portfolio.
Right.
So we have to adapt a lot basis that. So for example, we have a skincare brand called Simple, which is built from the natural space in the same way as a D2C brand. We have Love Beauty Planet. And of course, we have the big greats in Vaseline, Bonds, Lakme.
Right.
So having a balance of it, how to leverage the brand strength of bigger brands, how to leverage the consumer need of the new brands. I think that is very key because the same master brand cannot stretch beyond the limit. So
Absolutely.
we will need as a company also to get more into such brands to solve for that consumer need. And platforms definitely want more brands on their kitty because they want to give the best assortment to the shoppers. So it falls in their kitty as well in terms of they also want a lot of brands to come in.
Talking my first question, coming to Amazon versus quick commerce, you have seen from both ends. Of course, you would have seen on Google and Meta ads in as well. But I'll stick to on Amazon versus quick commerce. That is more buzzy. People need a lot more clarity. Amazon has been in India since 13 years, so there are a lot of clarity actually around it. But for quick commerce, still people are building that clarity and sometimes getting confused on applying the same playbook which they applied while building a brand on Amazon and applying building a brand on quick commerce as well. So let me ask you the question from marketing end. What is the difference between marketing on Amazon and versus marketing on quick commerce?
So I think, see, over a period of time, I think entry barriers reduce. It's easier to launch campaigns or to start marketing. And that's true even for quick commerce. Quick commerce also is nearing maturity
Mm,
on this. I think number of platforms having sales has been really critical because then you have a lot of under your plate as a performance marketer. And to top that, there are a lot of brands who are investing. So it has come at a very, both ends where there is a lot of buzziness and demand. Honestly, the challenge or the takeaway is that you don't see the same metrics across. Like you don't see the
right.
metrics in the same way. They are not comparable. They need to be layered and benchmarked rather than just taken at face value. I think that's very important because it's very easy to fall into that ROAS of X platform versus ROAS of Y platform and then deduct wrong conclusions. I think that's the fundamental thing. I think there are certain things which are not optional. I feel using technology to manage campaign right from creation optimization, that is not optional anymore because manual changes typically limit your effectiveness. You are shortchanged if you keep doing things manually, especially if you're managing a larger portfolio, lot of SKUs, right? I think experimenting is also not optional because I mean with the crowd and you need to be on top of things, right? And till these platforms reach a stage like Meta where everything is automated or everything is advantage plus right now, till that time the more experiments you mount, the more data you get and act on it and learn on it. I think that's very critical. And with quick commerce, especially, and I'm sure Amazon is going to do this soon, is regional customization. India is not one India.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every state, every city, every portion has some different requirement. For the longest time, we kept discussing as marketeers of vernacular language. I think it's beyond that. I think it's more about the right product. For instance, in a Tamil Nadu, our Three Roses brand works well, which is under the same master brand, but that is going to work. Then Red Label will work somewhere else. That customization in terms of media, the way some festivals are local. How do you activate those festivals? Same. I remember there is a period in March or April where 7 states celebrate different festivals at the same time.
Right.
Platforms are very smart now. They do this regionalization or hyper personalization. But how, as a brand, you use leverage it, right? I think that is because typically Amazon, we have never thought about it. Where starting off
Uh,
in Amazon, right? It was always nationally one. But now with commerce, it is you have to think local, go deeper. Otherwise, you will be averaging out to a possible lower outcomes. De-averaging is very important.
Got it. Yeah. So my question was, in order to understand data on a deeper level, or even before to be a successful marketer, we need to understand how consumers are actually buying on channel level marketplaces. So my question is again on Amazon and quick commerce only, based on your decade experience, or maybe from the last few years when you are looking at so many brands at a conglomerate like Jewel, what are the consumer preferences or differences between the consumers at Amazon and quick commerce?
So I think Amazon originally has been the one to discover a lot of new products across different categories. So it's category agnostic. So I mean, A to Z is what they say, right? So anything you want to, if you're not sure whether you'll, if you're unsure where you'll find it, you'll first see it Amazon, right? Whether you'll be able to find it. I think consumers largely still discover a lot of new stuff in most categories on Amazon.
Right.
And once they like it, they get into the category, they get into the brand, then they look for convenient options that, hey, is it available in my nearest dark store? And I'll get it faster. I think replenishment happens a lot on QuickCom right now. If it's in your basket, or if it's in your shopping need, that will definitely QuickCom gets in the front. A lot of, on the flip side, on the lot of food categories, right, where more impulse led categories, I think like ice cream or packaged food. Quick commerce has become the discovery, and it has
Right.
always been because it's impulse, low value. You anyway, it's occasions of quick com consumption also marry with the events like IPL, World Cups. So you order the next Diet Coke of sorts, right? So you try out a lot of these beverages as well. And, then replenishment also happens on quick com. So consumers, like, I was like, I did some consumer work recently. I think consumers have their choice of apps, right? They
Got it.
they 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 feel that Amazon is more reliable in terms of returns, chat, no questions asked, very standard, very almost like a robot, right? Where they can rely on few things. Commerce is getting there, but it's patchy because of course it's new and there are multiple players. So they prefer quick commerce for immediate, urgent, emergency need over any other things. And if in case they discover new things, they are happy to add to the cart, right? And Amazon, I think they are also going through the whole journey. They are also expanding on quick commerce, so they will also have to balance it because their users are typically acquired through their original model right now, right, at scale. So, and they have the Prime, which basically becomes their
Right.
moat. So, how do well they leverage Prime is very critical to them because consumers come back to them because of that loyalty.
Got it. So, if I summarize, well, you mean to say that Sunny still the first discoverability still happens on Amazon, leaving few food categories.
Yeah.
So is that what you are saying that yes, Sunny Amazon is still here to stay for a longer period of time? But now one question is again maybe not from the brand end. Amazon now has picked up really faster, especially from the last 1 year from Bangalore, Mumbai, or even Gurgaon as well. Where do you see Amazon now versus maybe if I pick Blinkit at these ends? Do you also feel that Sunny Blinkit will always be the winner in this case, or you feel that Amazon will give a lot of tough competition to all the quick commerce channels in coming future?
See, I think again, I'll take a step back into consumers, right?
Right,
So, when Quickcom exploded, I think Amazon could not service faster. So, they moved to a quick service model. And a lot of consumers did move to Blinkit because Blinkit had the widest assortment right from the start.
right,
So, and if you see their app, their journey, their convenience, cleaner UI, well structured, a lot of things, more consistent in terms of experience across, right? That largely mirrored or took a leaf from Amazon. And I think that's why a lot of shoppers moved back from Amazon to Blinkit and of course to other platforms as well. But Blinkit got the better share of it. Also because they invested in infrastructure, they invested a lot of, a focused expansion in the north and then south and then west. So they were quite sequential that way. When Amazon grows, I think, see, after all, if a shopper is hooked with the Prime by paying extra as a subscription, right, that will be the easiest to acquire. And of course, they will have to maintain the same level of consistency in terms of delivery time, because again, quick commerce is very heavily associated with time. If some platforms start delivering late, I think it is sometimes not, so they lapse out typically if they don't find the product they want now and they don't get it now. I think that both things have a higher impact. So if they figure it out, I think it will be very interesting, and we will see a new sort of. I think the interesting part will be that Amazon will, with all its might now coming and stay invested and to deliver on time and deliver the larger assortment will always be the key, because the shopper will stick for that. Lowest hanging fruit will remain the prime user. I think that will definitely be a good advantage for Amazon.
Got it. Coming to all the three bigger platforms in quick commerce right now, Blinkit, Zepto, Instamart. When you see it from the consumer end, then every consumer just looks at the product and looking at the same product wherever it is cheaper, they buy. And as you said, all consumers have their own preference app. Someone would have Blinkit, someone would have Instamart. But seeing it from a brand lens, as a brand or as a founder, as your experience across multiple categories and brands under HUL, how should they operate differently on all the three and market differently on all the three in order to be successful on Blinkit or Zepto or Instamart?
Yeah, cool. So see, I think it's very important to understand what are the priorities
Right,
of each platform. And see, and of course, without taking names, there are certain platforms where you adapt yourself as a brand that, hey, this makes sense. There is a proven model, and the size of business or the opportunity is big enough for us
right,
to adapt. And certain platforms, you might want to take a leaf from the existing ones, which is working well for you, and say that, hey, this worked here very well. This is the size given your scale and your category size. I think for you, this is the, like, we have to educate them as well sometimes, right? Because you can't just adapt to the nth platform many times, right? That's not the, and it's tougher for a bigger brand as well to do this, and it doesn't make a business sense, right? Because value at the table sometimes is not material enough to even move the needle. So for instance, let's say one platform will definitely has a premium audience, an affluent shopper, the basket value is very high, and we get signals, right? We talk to them, they're very focused on increasing like a beauty category, or let's say they focus on skincare is very high, because they understand the shopper is even affluent if they come back for such products. So we work with them differently. We work because we have the portfolio to manage. We unlock certain portfolio, like, okay, this is very premium, we sell it in Nika already, and Nika is a main for beauty, like, to try out. It's working here, it will work at yours. So we cross pollinate, because we also know from our historical working with Nika that this portfolio is working, right? And they're receptible to that, and they're like, okay, we'll do that. Right? Certain platforms have KPIs which say that, I want to maximize, I don't want to go behind the dark store game. I have enough dark stores. I will maximize my efficiency in the dark store, which means I will serve as many orders in the day with the same infrastructure. And this will only happen if they get more new buyers, they get more triers rather than regular shoppers. They get more triers, which means they will buy something small right now, get introduced to the category, and then maybe repeat with a larger pack, or, some other SKU of the same brand, let's say. So for them, we work closely in unlocking different portfolio, which basically ensures their efficiency is maximized. And of course, this doesn't happen every in a fortnight, right? We also see the numbers, we see competition, that whether it truly makes sense. Because if we start, saying yes to everything, we
right,
will not be profitable, right? So we have to take measures, but we see that, we see the growth pattern, we see size at the table, we see the buy-in, and we do experiments with them in certain categories. Okay, it worked well in skincare, worked well in foods, okay, then we can do in hair care, laundry, and all that, right? And that's where the scale of HOL helps, that we
right.
try on certain categories where there is ready solution, and then we build it for them. And then certain cases where we are confident that this is not going to work, we are open to say no, and we say that, okay, good, your KPIs are this, but probably not for us. We will do the way it is, and we will maximize whatever portfolio, whatever inputs we are able to give, and we partner with them in a different way. We say that, okay, this is possible, this is not possible, but adapting is very important. But with a caveat that it should have a sufficient opportunity size, because I mean, big companies, or people, companies which are listed, largely will work with this framework, profitability over anything after a while. And growth is important, because we know this growth is critical, but it should not be at a great downside of profit. So we are very clear.
Got it. Now, coming to your experience at HUL, I just wanted to understand because HUL operates in almost all kind of categories: nutrition, beauty, personal care, home care. And most of their products have been penetrated across metros, tier one, tier two, tier three, since a long amount of time.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
brands from HUL have seen penetration across, even I would say Himachal or maybe even Ladakh as well. But today, if I ask you from the lens of e-commerce or quick commerce, I think you already touched base in the starting only when we started. How does the consumer behavior and marketing playbook changes at metro cities versus tier two or tier three cities?
See, I think I was reading up somewhere that, top towns, top cities or metros in India, I think e-commerce penetration is record high,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, it is not an optional channel anymore for that shopper. And with quick commerce, it has accelerated because, I'll take an example of Mumbai where I stay at. It's very difficult to travel in the week to buy something. Like quick commerce has come to rescue.
Right,
I think where tier two plus is critical is where to get those users into the categories of the future. So grocery has always been table stakes for these guys because that gets frequency, right? So getting someone into laundry, especially in the liquids format, which is more premium, getting someone to skincare, getting someone to buying the niche formats like hair serums, hair masks. I think the appetite is there. There is enough knowledge. Everyone, like we discuss with consumers, they know what it is. They do the research. I think access these platforms will provide is very important. As a company, we know that what geographies our portfolios are more stronger, what geographies, and let's break it down into two things, right? There are leader brands we have, there are challenger brands, right? So typically, leader brands, the job is to build new categories or build categories for the platforms that hey, currently skincare penetration is 1%, right? Let's take that to 3 and 4, and that this will give you substantial growth. So we know that, let's say in a southern region, this fonts brand is very important for us. This format, because it is lighter in sensory, that works with them. In north, we have this brand which or this product which is heavier sensory, which is what the consumers need, right? So accordingly, we structure our campaigns, we structure our communication, our experiments. So by that, we already do that at regional level. So I think what honestly, when we started out, it was not the case because these platforms are still small and doing something naturally still work. But now with the competition, now with a lot of cost getting very high to operate, this has given me the next 5% efficiency, right? So at HUL scale, definitely this makes sense, and conversion rates are better because the consumer is quite related to this. The product is different, even the size is different. So let's say we know that certain regions consume more chai, right? So north consumes more chai, south
right.
consumes less chai. So the
Hmm.
size also then matters, that they will less likely to adopt a 1 kg over, let's say, 250 grams. So that helps in maxing out what we input to output. So
Got it. So if I ask you a question from a brand who is just about to get or is already live on Amazon, they have their sizable business and now they want to enter quick commerce. So should I say that they would all, and they are not offline, so they are a digital first brand. So should I say that they should look at the sales data state level on Amazon and assume that those states or cities only they should first launch on quick commerce? Because going live in Amazon on the national level and going pan India on quick commerce are two very different things.
yeah, yeah.
So, a question to you is a brand already doing a sizable business on Amazon. How should they plan their launch on quick commerce?
See, I think, and interestingly, a lot of quick com platforms have Amazon data. They benchmark it. At least I have been into multiple conversations. They know that, hey, your search volume is this, so it is sizable or not. They know it before we tell them. I think as a operator or founder, it's very easy in Amazon also to understand where I'm selling most. I think that's the easiest, that I'm selling in these cities disproportionately, so launching in those cities will make sense. It's also about where I have my stocks,
Right,
where is my capacity to service them. So if I'm able to service 2 3 states, and of course I'm strapped on cash, so I take those bets. Again, there are balance is key, right? Either you launch in Delhi NCR, which is like the biggest playground, or you launch extremely small. So both are bound to fail. So you have to find that sweet spot. It has to be little material enough to test as well, that because after all, when you test in a sufficient market and if it's successful, even platforms know to make them regional expansion or pan India expansion. So of course entry cost is also there. So entering a city versus entering five is different cost for many founders. So it's better to go where your strength is and go where the demand is. So it depends on some categories where regional nuances, even platform choices might be different. So some platforms are very heavily penetrated in South, and if your brands are doing extremely well in South, maybe taking those platforms first can be a better strategy as well.
Got it. My last question on consumers. We all know from our childhood, we've seen a lot of campaigns from brands from HUL that HUL has been very consumer deeply focused kind of a company or a brand. So my question is for the audience as well. We read a lot of reports from different organizations, consulting, look at consumer preferences, look at customer preferences. You as someone as a lead in marketing, how do you convert it into your performance marketing and advertising in terms of communication, in terms of performance, when you get those insights in front of you?
See, I think let's split it into two things, right? One is generating demand, right, for a brand. So a lot of these insights go into our ad campaigns, top of funnel, targeting cohorts, which are the shoppers to go after, right? A lot of goes into packaging. So there is a whole 6P framework we follow, right? When it comes to e-commerce, quick commerce, and performance marketing, no, the relevance becomes slightly lesser because all that has been taken care of while generating demand or eyeballs. And honestly, the amount of targeting capabilities available are less sharper right now. So I will go back to the regional nuances. I think that is one thing can be definitely done because that has helped us. But the exact shopper cohort or the attributes, I think that's still at a nascent stage. And as they build a robust system where signals can be taken, I think that itself will help. I think another thing which our brands do is we collaborate a lot with Meta and these platforms, right? So that is where we leverage these signals because Meta also gives us a lot of signals from our demand generation. So when we drive platform from Meta to these platforms, I think that's where the consumer insights become relevant. And maybe one more thing where I think the way we craft our taglines on, let's say, a banner campaign. We did one campaign where we were launching instant tea. So we said, get your tea instant in 10 minutes because 10 minutes is very like, it has a ring to it on quick commerce. And literally the tea was made within 10 minutes, right? So, or just by pouring a hot water. So things like that we can translate from what consumers need and how we can marry that with our brand proposition.
Got it. Coming to let's talk a bit about into marketing or even metrics as well. When we are looking at Amazon or when we are looking at quick commerce, which are the metrics you shouldn't miss tracking very regularly from marketing end?
So
Right.
see, I think Amazon typically is very democratizing platform, right? You will find a lot of insights, metrics. They have many portals, right? So I think the best way to see Amazon is always for us in the bestseller rank, right? If you're not in top 10 or top 5 or where are you relatively, right? And that's sort of the market share equivalent or positioning, right? And then you deep down why less, where were you earlier, how it has moved up and down, is pricing correct, is my content correct, is my conversion rate off, and whether my media is yielding me total sales, which means I'm not cannibalizing paid and organic, right? So if my paid to organic ratio remains stable and growth happens, I think that's the sweetest spot, right? So whether, and then once we know whether organic is stable or no, that will determine whether it is a pricing problem or whether it is a media problem or whether it like traffic problem, right? So it's very straightforward ish largely because rest has been taken care by the underlying algo flywheel,
Right.
right? In quick commerce, I think I would check largely where my if my growth sequential growths are in place because this platform is still growing sequentially. So if my sequential growths are tapering, I that's the first sign of worry. And then doing a deep dive whether my availability is sorted, which means am I in enough dark stores? If there are 1,000, am I in at least 800, 850, 900? And if that is a problem, is it because there is a linking problem or is there a replenishment problem or we can't provide the material? Bulk of the problems sit here. And then it comes in activation, doing something about it in terms of media, pricing. Because of the network of dark stores, fulfilling at that level itself, value unlock is phenomenal. right? And then the other metrics like whether organically I come up or no, if my organic share of tiles is higher than my relative market share, and then again the actions will vary. So yeah.
Got it. Another question on this is what is the healthy proportion or the way to go forward to performance versus brand awareness when marketing on these channels?
So I think, see, the question is about how much is the demand, existing demand, right? If, for instance, today tons of people are searching for protein and protein powder, so playing that game on platform will yield you fastest results, right? Versus, let's say, I don't know, hair serum. Very few people are searching for, relatively, I'm saying, on QuickCom, let's say. So for hair serum, it will be, the job will be more to show the shampoo shoppers or show shampoo browsers that, hey, serum will also help you in post wash, right? So because there are sufficient shampoo buyers on QuickCom, hair serum, the job is to tell the hair care category that, hey, hair serum gives you these benefits. And that job will be probably in the top of the funnel or brand awareness or doing collaborations with the platform. In quick commerce, that's the thing that you have to collaborate very deeply, because unless you have a sign off, the stocks won't be available because it's not single shipment. So it will need it needs a lot of, otherwise both can't be running. So in Amazon, you can do campaigns or whatever and things will take care of.
Right.
Here you need to tell them that, hey, this is the plan. What is your takeaway? If they are like, yeah, we are also interested. This is what our
Just
goal is, and then you unlock, and that has multiple times effect than you just doing on silos on your side. Yeah, so I think categories which are not deeply penetrated, it will be more an awareness job, more collaboration with the platforms, getting a buy-in, because that's where the, and of course there will be some constraint that we'll do it only in X cities, top cities, but anything which takes the step up in the category or pulls the category through, I think that needs both parties working together. Versus, let's say, the typical Amazon model where you can do at a certain scale on your own. So in silos, but in Blinkit or Zepto or Swiggy, I think in silos never yields anything.
got it. Now, today in 2026 or especially 2025 as well, branded searches have been going over the roof of brands. You talk about Gar Soaps, Chemist at Play,
Yeah.
Fitco. When you looking at the data, you see the branded searches are going above the generic searches. Happy Planet did a superb job in building another category. I'm sure you would have seen that as well. So my question is, performance marketing, yes, you take care of performance marketing while doing in-platform marketing, in-platform advertising. But over the longer run, what do you think has brand building become more important today to continue and merge alongside performance marketing?
See, I think brand building always was important. It is just that performance marketing gave you that immediate signals, immediate gratification. So even in my previous roles in other companies, we used to exhaust performance marketing audience, and then we used to like, okay, we need top funnel. Otherwise, campaign fatra hai. Like that used to be the thing, frequency has increased and, ROAS is tanking because we have reached everyone multiple times. So we need something on the top, right? And that is true that time, I think, and that is true today also. Every category will have that nuance. Attention is deficit. Like people don't have attention spans, right? So unless you have a stronger story, you will never stand out. If you become me too, if you become say that same things, I think even doing top funnel won't work. So you have to be innovative. You have to be in your consumer's head, which is what these brands do, right? They take one niche, they take one small pinpoint and blow it out of proportion, and people are like, yeah, I have this problem, right? So brand building was always important. It has become more tougher as years have passed because there are too many brands, too many channels, people switch channels on phone as well, different apps. So how consistently you're able to do it and how it is clutter breaking, that determines the success. And the branded volumes are a true measure of brand building. In today's day and age, I think just reaching out to X audience is no longer enough. You need to see that on these platform signals that, hey, people are searching for you, right? That's a true success uh, of it. And the more it becomes streamlined and the data share back happens seamlessly, it will only evolve and everyone will focus there. So I think before share of market, I think share of branded searches is also a thing, that are you increasing, decreasing, who is leading, how are we gaining, is it stable? Those are certain metrics I think a lot of brand folks now discuss. So because share is of course an output of multiple inputs, but this is one checkpoint for all the brand building efforts, whether it's, and you can predict, let's say, your future market share by
Interesting.
predicting branded search amongst the search volumes.
Got it. Yeah. So my question was, what does a large conglomerate like HUL does differently in terms of building brands, in terms of systems, processes, structures that modern day consumer brands should learn?
See, I think a lot of systems have been built over decades. So I think that's the good part and the bad part sometimes. But you have to sometimes do incremental things only. Sometimes you have to scratch that and make it from scratch in terms of process and systems. So some systems help us sustain and be consistent, be it distribution networks across modern trade, general trade, financial systems, tech systems. I think that that's something no one would want to do from scratch. I think what needs to change or is more on the way we think, the way we operate, and that's where e-commerce fits in. Right, you need to have a mindset where you don't take anything for granted. You don't take systems for granted because they are going to change. So I think having the mindset is more important in this channel and field. Learning from outside is very important because there are a lot of geeky stuff happening, and you need to have an open eye and open ears and experimentation. I think that's very much in the core. You have to do some experiments. Some will fail, some will pass. For something to learn is about. I think consistency is something which everyone can learn from big, not just HL. Everyone like right having brands across centuries or holding to that proposition, making a proposition which cuts across geographies. Dove is a classical example, right? It's the biggest global brand, and same proposition works every time, everywhere, right? So having that kind of things, timeless propositions, timeless communication, I think that's something which everyone can learn. Some things you can experiment, something you can't, right? So something like a brand, you can't experiment daily by changing a tagline. For instance, you
Right.
have to maintain consistency. You have to crack it. You have to wait for it maybe before even having a time tagline. So I have a friend who, for a couple of years in the business, she did not have a tagline. She's like, I don't know, right? I don't want to put it, right? And that's okay, right? Rather than changing it multiple and making a consistent experience for the shopper. And that's something I think worth learning for any business.
Got it. And in in your experience also, is ROAS the most discussed metric everywhere? Like how small to mid-size, or that's the case there as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. I think that's one thing which comes with our role and job. ROAS is the most abused term, and I have had. So when I joined HUL, also I did a lot of education internally to explain ROAS, where
Right.
it's important, what is the number, because the most asked question is actually what is the right ROAS, right?
Right. Is the right
Is
ROAS.
one enough, two enough, three enough, four enough? What is the right ROAS? I think there are many questions. I try to tackle it on my LinkedIn as well by breaking down fundamentals. But that I don't think it's gonna go right. It will take some time for it to be embedded. And see, it's still that phase where it's cool to ask ROAS or cool to drop a ROAS. Hey, I achieved 3 ROAS, right? I always ask someone who says this, ki, oh, but why? Where is the sales growth? Or like
Um,
double clicking on it is always important unless you're sure it's achieving the right objectives you set out. ROAS is just one indicator. But yeah, it's the same. I mean, all performance marketers can party and have hours of conversation on it. So that is the same.
yeah, even I've been educating everyone since years that it is should be one of the metric because it has a lot of backend involved. What is my cost per
Yes.
click, conversion rate, and very important is everyone misses is average order value. The ROAS for a
Yeah,
1500 product
yeah.
versus a 300 would
I
be
think
there would a
AOV
huge
is
difference there.
very critical, very critical. So, electronics. So, I'll tell an interesting story. One tech tool was pitching to me saying, ki, hey, we achieved 20 ROAS and yours is very poor. And then I said, okay, which industry? They're like laptops. I was like, Yeah, of course, laptops will have that. And in fact, I push them saying it's still low for laptop.
No, yeah, yeah. Then it
So
means the tool built by the people are not from e-commerce.
yeah,
That's the reason.
yeah, yeah.
So now moving to AI, is AI involving your day-to-day work or has evolved into e-commerce or even marketing as well?
I think AI is a new buzzword and it's a new performance marketing of 2020. So I think my we started the journey pretty early. I would not call it AI. What we used to do back 3 years back. See, we understood that the manual tasks are very much right, too much, and you build an army of team, but you will not be perfect, or you will not come close to even perfection. So automation of manual jobs was the first problem statement that, if X then Y, change the bid, right? I think we took that one step at a time. There are tools in the market, especially on Amazon, where because it's AI API led,
API.
so that helps. So Amazon has a lot of tools, and I think recency quick commerce guys also have multiple tools. So it should be problem first is what I can say. Manual tasks, definitely, it's the automation is important. I think AI still will take time, I feel, because honestly, we as humans also are not sure what is the right metric to optimize many times for, especially in the complexity of business we run. Same category, different brands will have different benchmarks, different types of metrics, right? AI is still not there, but at least manual tasks, I think it's easy. Report generation, understanding signals, analyzing tons of data. Still analyzing, I would say you need a human mind to determine the framework, determine
Right.
the boundaries, do it manually once and then streamline it, maybe. That has worked because directly. So I have also toyed around, my team toys around. We have had mixed experience, right? Unless you have those many signals where you can say to an agent that, hey, here is the campaign, do what you want to, right? Rarely we have those objectives. We always have complicated objectives, right? Do this, but this should happen, but that should happen, right? The context layer is still very difficult. Even humans are learning to sufficiently articulate the context, right? So unless you are able to do it on your own, AI will take some time. But at least I think all the rigor effort part can be taken care of easily. But I mean, what product to show, when to show, there are a lot of signals and a lot of things we also get offhand from our interactions with the platforms that we are going to do this tomorrow or this is the thing coming up. I doubt you can feed those signals immediately. And the I mean, we have tried this. We have tried during the big sales. We gave the campaign. It just went berserk, and so things like they start spending more on branded keywords only. And so yeah, we have done this. We have committed those mistakes, but learned, and we realized that tools are good up to a limit for certain tasks. The driver or the pilot has to be smart enough to use it to its benefit, and autopilot is still far away.
Yeah, even I agree the same that you mix the right tool, automate, and hang along with the right person with the right set of knowledge to take the right decisions. I think that is the way forward for the next couple of years till the time maybe something like autopilot comes into the future. Yeah. My last question,
Yeah.
your one piece of advice to someone building a career or want to build a career in marketing today.
I think this advice I also got it, and I keep getting, and I think HUL has been embedded this that consumers come first. So be close to consumers. I think that even today when we do our consumer work, it reveals so many things. I mean, no data can give you that, I feel, and it's an art. Obviously, you need to practice it. You need to. It's as good as understanding enough when you do conversation with friends that your friend is saying X, but actually he means Y, or she means Y. And with friends, it's easier because you have the history. With consumer work, you can't. But then you have to probe the right question, ask the right question, or read between the lines. There is always consumers want to sound right. So, but staying close to consumers, each marketer will do phenomenal job, be it performance marketing or brand marketing.
So this is it. I would say thank you so much for giving your time, and it was an honor connecting with you.
No, no, I think I've been following your work and you were also chasing me. It was finally, I was happy to be able to do it.